Well, here we have it. Dr. Fauci warns this plan for ending COVID is now unattainable. It's brought to you by Abby Reinhardt. Doesn't say where she's from, but the article here is the COVID-19 pandemic, which has been the primary topic of conversation for over 2 years now. The entire world has faced repercussions of the virus, but with the introduction of vaccines and booster shots, we've made significant progress towards returning to normal. Right there's the propaganda. But continuing, at the same time, some of our hopes for what the world could one day look like have become more and more unlikely. More propaganda. Now, one plan for ending the pandemic is being called unattainable. Read on to learn what virus experts say will now never happen. Actually, many were saying this. It's just people like you didn't want to hear it. Throughout the pandemic, the concept of herd immunity was discussed as a possible way to protect the population by lowering community circulation levels. Herd immunity is achieved when a certain percentage of the population becomes immune following vaccination or natural infection, leaving the virus with nowhere to go. The term was a source of controversy at the height of the pandemic, with some health officials and experts encouraging the idea of herd immunity as a way to return to normal, MarketWatch reported. And a lot of people who weren't for it were saying the virus mutated too fast. I wonder what's going to come up here. Now, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Chief Medical Advisor to President Joe Biden and the Director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, has penned an article alongside 2 other NIAID officials which states the classical herd immunity for COVID almost certainly is an unattainable goal. In the article, published March 31st in the Oxford Academic Journal of Infectious Diseases, Fauci and his co-authors suggest rather than reaching this threshold, we will adjust to living with the presence of COVID. I know I've said that one last year. I've seen a lot of, especially people on the right, Republicans saying it and all this other type of stuff. And here we have Fauci actually saying what we've been saying since a year ago. But continuing, this will involve optimizing population protection without prohibitive restrictions on our daily lives. Again, what we were kind of saying, we're going to have to live with it. We're going to need better, going to the doctor. I know I've said this one. You go to the doctor. Doctor goes, oh, you have COVID. Here, take this. No, just like you have with the flu, cold, pretty much everything. Here's the thing to take. If you don't get better, go to the ER. But no, the left was all about vaccines and only vaccines. But continue here. The threshold for herd immunity has been met with both polio and measles in the U.S. But these viruses have phenetic type stability, meaning they stay the same. Yeah, which is why you can't say the polio and measles vaccine works the same as the COVID vaccine. Herd immunity for the new virus could be elusive, the virus experts write, as COVID continually mutates into new variants. We've had Alpha, I think Delta, Omicron, which I think is BA.1. There's also BA.2, and there's subvariants. XA, XB, XC, XD. They're worried about XE. I mean, all those types of stuff. And it's only 2 years old, and it's already got all these variants. Yeah. As it says, these variants are then able to evade immunity that people have otherwise developed thanks to previous infection or vaccination. Something, again, many people on the right have been saying over and over again. If strains continue to mutate and immunity from prior infections and vaccines is only temporary, the viral transmission of COVID could continue indefinitely. Again, something many people have already said. According to the NIAID article, this may be on a low endemic level, much like we see with the seasonal flu outbreaks. which actually began with the 1918 pandemic influenza virus. Like the flu virus, immunity to COVID and other respiratory viruses is a fluid concept, these experts say. People can either have durable immunity that fully protects them or immunity that prevents serious disease, but not prevention or transmission to others. Yeah, again, this is something people have been saying for almost a year now, since they started with the second booster, like 4 months after the vaccine came out, which was about getting close this time last year. They were doing it. People were starting to say, whoa, mutating too fast here, vaccines aren't going to work. But according to the experts, herd immunity may not even be necessary. We no longer need the elusive concept of herd immunity as an aspirational goal. COVID-19 control is already within our grasp. Should have been within our grasp last year, but the vaccine prevented that. The authors cite background population immunity to COVID, which has reached high levels after 2 years of living with the virus, as well as introduction of vaccines and boosters. And here's really the big part. New antiviral drugs and monoclonal antibodies have also been helpful as countermeasures, as well as diagnostic tests. Now, screw the tests. It's this area right here. That's what's really going to get us over this. When you go to the doctor, or even if you think you have it, you go to the drugstore, and it'll be now flu, cold, and COVID aisle. And you get your Theracovid if you think you have it. And it prevents the symptoms, and you don't even have to go to the doctor. That's what it should be. It goes, surges will rise and fall. Again, been saying that. With the decline of the recent Omicron surge, leading the Centers for Disease and Control and Protection, CDC, to lift certain restrictions. Now cases appear to be on the rise again in some parts of the country, Fauci stated in April 1st Yahoo Finance Live broadcast. But we will wait to see if the relaxation of restrictions will have a significant impact on COVID numbers. Fauci and his co-authors wrote the potential of new vaccines to provide immunity against multiple variants. This coincides with a meeting scheduled for April 6th, where the U.S. Food and Drug Administration will evaluate the effectiveness of existing vaccines. According to a briefing from the FDA, they may need to be updated to protect against new and emerging strains. Although a complete understanding of how emerging SARS-CoV-2 variants impact the effectiveness of current COVID-19 vaccines is lacking. No, they just don't want to see it. Now, the accumulating data suggests the composition of vaccines may need to be updated at some point to ensure the high level of efficiency demonstrated in the early vaccine clinical trials, the briefing reads. In addition to this, the FDA Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee will discuss how frequently vaccines need to be evaluated, how to implement a formal process for vaccine strain selection, and the ideal timing for booster doses. Instead of what we have, here's another one. Yeah, as a lot of people said, no, COVID is something that it's here to stay. We cannot continue to do the mass and all that type of stuff forever. It's just not going to work. Sorry, you leftists listening to this. It's not going to happen. Just put that in your mind. It's not happening. You cannot control everybody. There are people who are going to rebel, and the more you tighten your grip, the more people are going to rebel against you. I'm sorry, leftists. That's the bare truth. And if you don't like it, well, pull up your big boy pants and move on with your life, really. No. I mean, Fauci's already saying the truth here. No, vaccines aren't going to help us. The mandates didn't help us. The lockdowns sure as hell didn't help us. Doing it again isn't going to help us. Really, like the flu shots I would say, no, COVID shots, you'll want to do maybe the older population, though they're more at risk. And let's start getting, the COVID equivalents of Coldies and Theraflu and all that out onto the shelves where people can buy it. They think they have it. Boom. You start taking that. I mean, there are so many things I've seen. No, I'm going to use ivermectin. Whatever you think about it, there are so many people who say stuff that they take that and they felt better within hours. So there may be something like that where you take it, you start feeling better within hours, and we need that one. That's what we really need. Now, that's my thought. I went off on a bit of a rant. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Come on over to Rumble, and I'll see you next video.